So again, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. And welcome to Texas Digital Library's first ever online State of TDL and Awards ceremony. My name is Leah DeForest, and I am the Communications Manager with Texas Digital Library. Before we get started with the main event, I'm going to make a few housekeeping announcements. So for those of you who are new to Zoom, you will want to make sure that your microphone and video are muted. If you want to see who's in attendance, you can click on the participants icon in the bottom center of your screen. And if you have a question or comment, please type it into chat. You can access chat by clicking on the thought bubble at the bottom right of your screen. And take a moment to say hello and introduce yourself in chat. And if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to type them into chat. We're going to save all questions and hopefully have a few minutes to spare for a Q&A session at the end of the ceremony today. Next, we on staff at Texas Digital Library are big fans of Bill and Ted because they are most triumphant, and especially because they believe in being excellent to each other. And we at TDL ask that you also be excellent to each other. We are dedicated to providing an experience for everyone that is free from all forms of harassment and is inclusive of all people. So we ask that everyone here today be considerate and respectful in your speech and your actions. We ask that you attempt collaboration before conflict and refrain from demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior and speech. And please be mindful of your environment and of your fellow participants. We very much encourage laughing and smiling, and our presenters will give you reason to. Just please keep those mics and videos muted unless you're asked to do otherwise. And next, here's a peek at today's agenda. So first, we'll kick off with a welcome from Christy Park, TDL's Executive Director. Then we'll have a message from the chair of our 2020 TCDL Planning Committee. In the first part of today's event, we're going to share some updates about our members, followed by a round of 3 TDL Awards announcements for scholarly communications, student excellence, and outreach awards. In part 2, we'll talk about our essential infrastructure services and then have a second round of TDL Awards announcements for the Trailblazer, Individual Impact, and Excellence Awards. And in our third and final segment, we will share updates about TDL's fabulous member groups and announce the 2020 TDL Service Award winner. Again, we hope to wrap up with a few minutes to spare for a Q&A at the end, and please feel free to take a break whenever you need. And now on with the show. I'm going to hand things over to Christy Park to kick things off.
All right, thank you, Leah, and hello, everyone. As the director of the Texas Digital Library, I want to welcome all of you on behalf of all of our full-time staff members pictured here, and on behalf of our board members, some of whom, including our chair, David Carlson, are with us today. Thank you all for being here. We took this Brady Bunch photo in our last team meeting just for you all, and you can tell we are all, many of us, big fans of the half smile, it turns out. We have all spent more time in Zoom and other web conferencing platforms in the last 4 months than we would all like, no doubt. So we're especially grateful that you're choosing to spend this hour and a half with us today to celebrate the amazing accomplishments of our colleagues and hear a bit about the state of the Texas Digital Library at this moment in time. We've all had a challenging spring and summer with the prospect of more challenges and opportunities ahead of us. And I couldn't be happier or more grateful or feel luckier that I face those challenges with this crew here and with all of our members and partners in Texas and around the world. We're part of a really wonderful community that knows the importance of the work we're doing and the importance of the people who ultimately we do the work for. Our mission is to build capacity within our communities for preserving, managing, and providing access to unique digital materials of enduring value. We are a regional membership consortium rooted in higher education and governed by our members, all of you. And collectively, we form a cross-institutional collaborative community of library, archives, and technology workers with the goal of propelling the Academy forward by protecting the scholarly and cultural record and by radically broadening access to it. This is work we are excited by and work we're excited that we get to do with all of you, and we hope you're excited by it too. It's my privilege to introduce some awesome folks from within our Texas community who will be speaking during the webinar today, and I'm going to ask them to turn their video on now if they haven't previously. The first is Marcia McIntosh, Digital Production Librarian from the University of North Texas and our chair of the TCDL 2020 Planning Committee. Welcome, Marcia. We also have Sean Buckner, Coordinator of Digital Preservation and Digitization at Texas A&M Libraries and Chair of the 2020 TDL Awards Committee. Welcome, Sean.
Hello.
And finally, you'll hear from Courtney Muma, our Deputy Director. Hey, Courtney.
Howdy, everybody. Good to see you.
And I'll act as MC for today's event and also speak with you along with Courtney about the state of the TDL. So with that, it's my pleasure now to hand it over to Marcia.
Thank you, Christy, and greetings TDL community. I am happy to shine some light on an unforgettable TCDL 2020 year. As you know, the in-person event was canceled after joint discussion among TCDL Planning Committee and the TDL staff. Even so, I want to recognize and thank everyone who worked on the event, starting with TDL for establishing and maintaining TCDL for so many years. There's no doubt that we would not be able to enjoy the benefits of community, resources, and professional networking that TCDL provides without TDL's leadership and initiative. Next, I must thank the Planning Committee. Next slide, sorry. This group attended meetings, underwent thorough and extensive review of 77 proposals, led or served on subcommittees, and provided input on committee discussions and decisions to create what would have been a really fantastic event. They also came up with a pretty snazzy theme and were just wonderful to work with. They are John Crossnose, Taylor Davis Van Atta, Taylor Fairweather Leach, Lindsay Ford, Ramona Holmes, Jarrell Jones, Mark Phillips, Rachel Winston, Amanda Zurang, and special honor goes to this year's Vice Chair, Shelley Barbara, who was the best partner in power a chair could possibly ask for. And then we can't forget the TDL staff members, Alex Suarez and Leah DeForest, who are literally the heart and lungs of the committee, and how they managed to do so much with only one set of hands does boggle the mind. I would also, next slide, please. I would also like to recognize our would-be keynote speakers from the Colored Convention Project, Lauren Cooper and Curtis Small, and the facilitators from the second annual Leadership Academy, Jane Field, Asha Khan, Christy Sorensen from Breaking Down Library Silos, and Jessica Matterson from the Maintainers. I would also like to thank this year's 7 sponsors for raising $3,750 in sponsorship, and 2 individual donors who between them raised $635. Next slide. This year's online program consisted of 7 virtual events, including 3 Birds of a Feather groups, 2 user group meetings, and 1 web panel. Information about them and the digital program from the 77 accepted proposals will be available for viewing and citation starting September 1st in the TDL repository. As TCDL 2020 comes to a close, we can look forward with great anticipation to TCDL 2021, which will be under the very capable leadership of the marvelous Ms. Shelley Barbara. Thanks everyone again for your contributions, attendance, proposals, nominations, and general goodwill during this conference year. And without further ado, I'll pass it back to you, Christy.
Thank you so much, Marcia. On behalf of all of us at TDL, I want to express our appreciation for Marcia's leadership of the committee over the past year and her service as vice chair for the 2019 event the previous year. You know, Marcia, your enthusiasm, encouragement, and expert coordination had us primed for a really fantastic in-person event in 2020. It was such a heartbreaking decision to have to cancel, but you led us well through that and all of the decisions that followed it, and you set us up really well for some great online events that resulted from that planning. So our community is very fortunate to have you at the helm, and we really appreciate it, so thank you. We're excited about next year's conference as well under Shelley's leadership. So we're gonna move now into part one of our State of the TDL remarks, starting with a little bit of information about our membership and some things we learned through our membership assessment activities of the past year. But we're gonna start with a quick poll and ask you a question. So Leah's going to put that poll up on screen, and we'd like to know from you what role best describes you professionally. We have a number of options here, including it's complicated. We're going to leave this open for about 45 seconds so folks have a chance to answer, and then I'll share the results. Not surprisingly, lots of librarians. Just a few more seconds. Let us hear from you if you haven't voted yet. Okay, cutting you off. I'll share the results. Hopefully you can see this. So a majority of you identified as librarians, but we have a healthy number of administrators and archivists, a handful of software developers and other technology folks, which is great. Some other library staff, and you know, a good number who said it's complicated. I understand that. Many of us wear a lot of hats. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about who you are. And we'll have a few other polls as we go through our time together today. But for now, I'm going to move on and start by welcoming a couple of new members to TDL. So since we last gathered in Austin for TCDL 2019, we've been pleased to welcome and onboard 2 new institutional members in the TDL consortium. Those are the University of North Texas Health Science Center based in Fort Worth and the University of Texas at San Antonio. UNTHSC joined as part of the South Central Academic Medical Libraries, or SCAML consortium, which also includes UT Medical Branch and UT Southwestern Medical Libraries, also members of TDL. We'll talk more a bit later in our presentation today about our work with them to do our first migration of a bPress Digital Commons repository to DSpace. UTSA is our 7th member from the UT system, and we've really enjoyed getting to know their scholarly communications operation and helping them soft launch a brand new institutional repository in DSpace over the fall and into this spring. UTSA is also one of 3 new digital preservation services members, along with Sam Houston State and Texas State universities. These 3 institutions have joined a growing roster of members taking advantage of the storage and consulting services, as well as community-based resource sharing that TDL provides for digital preservation. Collectively, our membership equals more than the sum of its parts, and each new member of TDL adds new expertise, a more diverse set of ideas, and of course, financial resources to the consortium that accrue to the benefit of all of us. Here's a picture of our membership currently broken down by membership tier. Our largest category is what we call our high research institutions, which maps onto the Carnegie doctoral institutions categories. We have 7 members in the master's colleges and universities tier, and of course our 4 ARL members who are our founding institutions. With the addition of UNTHSC this year, we now have 3 independent medical library members, creating another unique cohort within our membership with special expertise and perspective. And of these 24 institutions currently in our membership, 19 are what we call regular members that have full governance rights and membership benefits. And then we have those 3 that belong to the SCAML consortium, which from a governance perspective act as a single regular member, and then 2 institutions who are affiliates. Here's another snapshot of our membership from the perspective of service usage. So going into the coming academic year, we'll host 21 DSpace digital repositories for 18 of our members. These repositories contain more than 6.5 terabytes of content. We host the Vireo ETD management system for 15 of our members and provide journal hosting for 11 members. And that includes 72 distinct journals. Our consortial research data repository, the TDR, serves 10 members and currently hosts more than 1,200 data sets containing more than 43,000 files. And as I mentioned previously, our growing digital preservation offerings serve 8 of our members, and we're currently preserving around 50 terabytes of their data in our distributed storage systems, and we expect that amount to grow over the coming year. These numbers only tell a piece of the story, however, when it comes to TDL and its membership. And we spent much of 2019 and the first part of this year trying to get a more holistic view of our membership and their needs through what we've come to refer to as the TDL member census. That census project had 2 parts. The first was the TDL Roadshow, shown on this slide, which was a project to visit nearly every regular member campus. This slide shows some photos from our visits over the last year plus. And I have to say, the photos make me really homesick for all of you and grateful that we got the chance to make these trips before the pandemic shut down travel. Courtney, Leah, Nick Woodward, and I all had chances at various times to make these visits, and we really enjoyed getting to do that and to connect with you and your libraries on these trips. The second part of our census was a comprehensive member survey that we distributed through our member board, with each campus providing a single response to us. Taken together, these 2 parts of the census have provided us with rich insight into members' perceptions of the TDL and its services, their desires for service improvements, and new needs for digital services to support the research and teaching missions of their universities. So over the next few slides, I'm going to share some of our takeaways from this project based on the data from our survey and the roadshow visits. And we don't have time today for more than a few snippets, but we will share out a more extensive final report from the census before the end of the summer. First off, we asked about member perceptions of our services themselves. And most of the services received pretty high marks for value and quality, with 3/4 or more of users rating them good or very good in most cases. The big exception here is our journal hosting service, which received the lowest value and quality marks, as you can see. This result was echoed in the conversations we had with our members on site visits, and it aligned with our own understanding that this service needs some improvement, both in terms of the attention our technology staff give to it and the support, community support we provide around it. So we've already begun working and taking some steps to improve those scores with the journal hosting service, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go today and also in the weeks ahead. We asked our members also to help us prioritize what improvements you'd like to see in our existing services. And the top 3 vote getters in this area were better DSpace usage statistics, improved ADA accessibility for the DSpace platform, and better integration of services with our digital preservation storage options. And we asked members to tell us what new or expanded services they would value most coming from TDL. The high vote getters here were a discovery portal for aggregated cultural heritage collections, a digital exhibit service, and consortial discounts for the web archiving service Archivit. You'll hear more about some things we're doing with each of these later on. By and large, TDL training offerings received high marks for usefulness, but we also asked for feedback about future training topics, and we got a variety of requests back in the survey, but the top vote getters centered on digital preservation and research data topics, including data wrangling. Finally, we asked for feedback on our member groups, and you'll hear more later about some of the ways that we're growing our group organizing efforts, but for now, I'll just note that the top vote getter here was a faculty outreach group, which echoed other responses throughout the survey and conversations we had on our member visits, where we heard frequently that faculty buy-in to services like the IR and the TDR remains a significant challenge. Okay. So as I've presented these data, I've deliberately held back in some cases in talking about how we're responding to them. And that's because you'll see later on in this presentation some of the ways that we're acting on it. In other cases, we may not be able to act on them quite yet. We're still figuring it out. And anyway, we couldn't keep you here the several hours it would take to name them all. So we're going to try to make sure you know that we're responding to these data and that we're taking them seriously as we plan for the future. But for now, I hope what they give you is a fuller picture of the TDL membership. And I hope that these visits and the outcome of our assessments reinforce for you one of the core values of TDL, which is our commitment to our membership. I believe that TDL's motivation is one of the essential differentiators compared to profit-driven commercial vendors who provide some of the same services that we do. We're driven to help our member libraries become and remain essential partners in supporting the scholarly, academic, and public service missions of their universities. And we're mission-driven to do that because we are part of the academic library and embedded in the academic library milieu. We're actively recruiting new institutional members to join our consortium because we know that we're strongest when we move forward together. And we're committed to further diversifying our membership through the addition of academic libraries at historically Black colleges and universities, through outreach to community colleges and institutions outside of academic libraries, and where appropriate outside of Texas, while maintaining our core identity as a regional consortium rooted in higher education. So I'm going to pause here and turn it over to Sean Buckner to get the ball rolling with our first set of TDL Awards announcements, which I'm pretty excited about. So Sean, over to you.
Hi, thank you very much, Christy. Howdy, everyone. This is Sean Buckner. I'm the coordinator of digital preservation and digitization at Texas A&M University Libraries, and also the chair of the 2020 TDL Awards Committee. So before I give an overview of the TDL Awards, I'd like to invite our award winners, any of you out there, to turn on your cameras and wave to everyone, if you'd like. And also you can keep your cameras on throughout this section also if you would like. Normally we would have you at the front of the conference, but today we get to see you on the camera. And anyone else who would like to send any congratulatory remarks or thanks, feel free to use the chat. And those award winners, look at the chat, look for your congratulatory remarks. So, recognizing that the community benefits from the work of many, the TDL Awards seek to acknowledge, support, and celebrate work done in this area. So each year, the TDL Awards honor individuals and groups that have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of digital libraries. Digital libraries is defined broadly to include access to digital collections in academia, as well as from allied organizations such as museums, archives, historical societies, and other cultural heritage institutions. Nominees may serve in any position within their organization, and anyone who contributes to digital scholarship or the preservation, management, or access of digital content is eligible for these awards. An affiliation with TDL member institutions is not a requirement for either award nominees or nominators, and self-nominations are accepted and encouraged. So the TDL Awards Committee encouraged submissions from professionals from historically underrepresented communities and their allies. Per the TDL Statement of Inclusion, the committee sought the presence and contributions of all persons regardless of age, culture, abilities, bodies, ethnic origin, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, marital status, nationality, race, religion, or socioeconomic status. So these awards recognize excellence in the following areas: individual impact, excellence, scholarly communications, outreach, student excellence, trailblazer, and service to the TDL consortium. And now on to our first award. Next slide. Scholarly communications. The Scholarly Communications Award is awarded to an individual or group who has demonstrated leadership in or advancement of scholarly communications. This year's winner of the Scholarly Communications Award is Dr. Didi Rios, Director of Optometric and Clinical Library Services at the University of Incarnate Word. Dr. Rios was instrumental in the launch of a new open access peer-reviewed journal devoted to optometric clinical practice at the University of Incarnate Word, titled Optometric Clinical Practice. The journal was developed to serve the needs of clinicians and to fill a gap in optometric literature that serves a community of practitioners, researchers, students, and in turn their patients. To get the journal on its feet, Dr. Rios filed for the ISSN, formatted and submitted the application for the journal, updated the website, set up training for editors and reviewers, helped to determine if manuscripts needed revision, created a masthead, designed the promotional materials, worked with Spark and other library publishing forum members to improve online journal publications, and she continues to review and format each article as well as track readership. Dr. Rios continues to serve as an associate editor and is now working with Crossref to have DOIs assigned to each article, if she hasn't already, and as well as assigning and uploading metadata, and she will pursue getting the journal included and indexed in the directory of open access journals and given time PubMed. So Dr. Rios has set an excellent example for the UIW community in how such works are possible to support and still meet a standard of excellence. And in the words of UIW's provost, Dr. Barbara Aranda Naranjo, this open access journal allows an instantaneous international readership and furthers the field with evidence-based science. Dr. Rios was nominated by Tracy Mendoza, Dean of Libraries at the University of the Incarnate Word. Thank you, Tracy, for taking the time to nominate your colleague. And once again, congratulations, Dr. Rios, and thank you for your fine work and contributions to the field. Next slide. The Student Excellence Award is given to an individual student who has demonstrated overall excellence and significant contributions to the digital library practice. This year's Student Excellence Award goes to Alan Garcia, a student at the School of Information at the University of Texas at Austin. Alan is the creator of the ATX Barrio Archive, an exemplary digital archive that focuses on community outreach and documenting the effects of gentrification in Austin's East Side. The ATX Barrio Archive is dedicated to preserving, sharing, and celebrating the culture and history of Austin's Black and Brown neighborhoods. It is the mission of the archive to demonstrate to the marginalized communities in Austin that their voice not only exists, but deserves to be heard. The archive also demonstrates how important it is for policymakers and those unfamiliar with the rich history of these communities to see the value in recognizing the people and places that have made Austin the city it is today. Alan researches and digitizes these stories and also interviews community members to share their stories. The Barrio Archive digitizes images from local archives and libraries, from community members, businesses, and families, and brings them all together on Instagram. With over 500 posts and almost 9,000 followers, the archive reaches those who are not only in the Latinx African American community, but perhaps more importantly, those who are outside of it. I would like to thank Alex Suarez of the Texas Digital Library for nominating Alan for this award. And again, congratulations to Alan Garcia. Thank you from all for your outstanding project. Next slide. TDL's Outreach Award is presented to an individual or team who demonstrates a creative and successful approach to increasing the accessibility of digital information, promoting engagement among new users, and increasing public awareness of an organization's digital collections. This year, the winner of this year's Outreach Award is the Texas Film Roundup. The Texas Film Roundup is a groundbreaking public service initiated to discover, preserve, digitize, and disseminate moving images of Texas. It is a collaboration between the Texas Archive of the Moving Image and the Office of the Governor's Texas Film Commission. The cornerstone of the Film Roundup program is the free digitization of any Texas-related film or video whose owners are willing and able to contribute a digital copy of the material to the TAMI online library. Although this can include feature films, the main focus of the program is orphan film materials like home movies, newsreels, educational films, training videos, locally produced film and television, advertisements, and others. Originals are returned to the owners along with information on how to best store the analog materials, as well as the digital files. The program is open to institutions and individuals alike. As of February 2020, the organization has digitized more than 38,000 films and videos. In order to promote the free digitization service, TAMI organizes events in several cities throughout the state called the Texas Film Roundup. At these programs, people can drop off films for the digitization program and view archival moving images from the TAMI collection. The Roundup has traveled to more than 40 Texas cities to collect materials for the program, representing the diversity of the state. The online library of digitized films is accessible to the public and easy to browse. More than 3,600 films from the Roundup are now available through the website texasarchive.org. The organization encourages viewing and use of the materials through curated exhibits and an active social media presence. Congratulations, Caroline Frick and the team at Texas Archive of the Moving Image for your hard work, and many thanks to Elizabeth Hansen for your nomination of this project. Thank you all. And I'll hand things back to Christy for another segment of the State of TDL.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, so much. And congratulations to our first round of award winners. A round of inspiring projects. And we are really excited to have Sean back later in the program today to announce several more award winners as well. So we'll head now into our next section of our State of TDL, and we'll start with another poll. So Leah, go ahead and start our next poll. We have a second question for you about TDL's journal hosting service. We want you to take a look at the list of journals here and select which ones you believe are real journals that we host at TDL. And you can select as many as you think are real. I think I forgot to note which ones are actually real. So I'll test my own memory of these things as well. So we'll leave it open for another 10 seconds or so. Get your votes in. Lots of voting still happening. Okay. 2 more seconds and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to share the results. Okay, so 90% of folks believe that Journal of Texas Women Writers is real. That is correct. It is one of the first journals, in fact, that TDL began hosting many, many years ago now. only 10% believed that the Texas Library or the Texas Journal of Library Overachievers is real. That 10% was incorrect. That is not a real journal. The rest of these are real, except for When Perfect is Good Enough. That one is not a real journal, but the rest of them are, including the Sea Spray Literary Journal, the Journal of Regulatory Science, Library Leadership and Management, and the International Journal of Structural Changes in Solids. And as I mentioned, we host 72 active journals currently. And that number is growing by incrementally all the time. Okay, I'm gonna close this poll. Thanks for voting. And we'll move on into our next section here, talking about our services and infrastructure. We strive to be an affordable source of essential library infrastructure and services, and we do that through the development and maintenance of shared systems, staff, and resources, including the shared infrastructure for journal hosting. Especially right now in the current moment when access to resources for research and teaching online is so much more important. We know that our repository and scholarly communications services and the digital preservation infrastructure that undergirds them are that much more essential to researchers, instructors, and public users. All of the platforms we deploy within our service suite are rooted in library and cultural heritage-based communities that share many of TDL's values, including the value of openness. They use open standards, they're developed and governed by open communities with transparent decision-making, and in most cases, the code is open sourced for all to see, critique, and improve upon. In our view, this approach allows us the greatest flexibility and control over our systems and our collective data, and allows for greater interoperability and portability of content and systems. It also allows us to participate and influence the direction of these communities for the benefit of our members and for other users of these platforms around the world. DSpace, which is the open source platform we use as the foundation of our digital repository hosting service, is a prime example of our ability to give members a seat at the table at these global open communities. TDL continues to contribute to DSpace as a platinum member of the DSpace program, which is now part of Lyrasis Community Supported Programs Division. We contribute at the highest membership tier on behalf of our own members to support continued software development and shape the direction of this strategically important resource. As part of our involvement with the global DSpace community, we co-hosted the DSpace North American User Group meeting with the University of Minnesota Libraries in September 2019. And Ed Warga from A&M Corpus Christi, who's pictured here on the far right, served as a representative on the event planning committee and as in his capacity as chair of the Texas DSpace User Group at the time. We were able to fund some of its travel to this event and provide this great opportunity for members of our Texas-based community to learn from and share knowledge with other DSpace users in the US and Canada. As platinum members of DSpace, we also have governance rights within the DSpace program and a guaranteed seat on the DSpace leadership group that provides strategic oversight and support for DSpace. I've served on that group since 2015, and this past year was honored to be elected as chair of the group. In that role, I've worked to help the DSpace program adjust to its new organizational home at Lyrasis, and partnered with the other leaders and Lyrasis staff to make some fundamental changes to the way DSpace development happens, including a provisional move to paid development from volunteer development, and the implementation of more frequent beta releases to accelerate the development of DSpace version 7. And if you're not at all familiar with version 7, this is going to represent a major rewriting of the application and a completely new and modernized user interface. It is the largest development effort in the software's history, with more code changes than the last 4 major releases combined. And as a leadership group, we have worked to raise funds for that development, securing about $150,000 in additional community funding, including some additional money from TDL, to pay for software developers to complete that project. As a result, DSpace has released 3 progressively more complete beta versions of DSpace for testing by the community, and I'm really excited about the direction this is going so that our members can take advantage of it. This fully modernized repository platform, which we'll be upgrading our hosted installations to in 2021. Most of our institutional members don't have the financial or personnel resources to participate in the DSpace community at this level. There are few, if any, non-ARL libraries represented on DSpace leadership, or the non-North American equivalent of ARL. But through their partnership in TDL, our members' interests are represented at this table, and we try to represent those interests well. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we deployed 2 new DSpace digital repositories this past year, one brand new one at UTSA, and another was a migration of an existing repository. We were really pleased last year to have the opportunity to partner with UNT Health Science Center on a project to move their repository data from proprietary to open systems when they approached us to migrate their bPress Digital Commons repository operated by Elsevier to a TDL hosted DSpace repository. Our software developer, Nick Woodward, led this project to plan, map, and migrate their digital commons collections to DSpace, working with Ramona Holmes and Tom Lyon and others at UNT HSC. You can read more about this project at the link on this slide, but for us, it really represented an important case study in supporting a move to open infrastructure for institutions ready to withdraw some of their collections and data from the control of for-profit vendors. DSpace is a foundational component of the essential infrastructure that lets our members protect and provide access to the scholarly and cultural heritage record that they steward. But there are other components as well. So I'm now going to hand it over to TDL's wonderful Deputy Director, Courtney Muma, to talk about work that we've done this year to make sure that that record is safe far into the future. So Courtney, take it away.
Thank you, Christy. This has been so exciting and fun so far. So TDL is nationally and internationally recognized now as a leader in digital preservation, and we're very proud of that. And as such, we want to ensure that digital preservation becomes regarded as essential infrastructure in all of our member institutions, underlying all digital library practice rather than siloed as a set of tasks that we do off the side of our desks. As we have grown and listened to our members' needs, while we also engaged with the national and international digital preservation community, we saw a need that we knew we could help address. We began a year-long planning grant project called Preserving Sensitive Data in Distributed Digital Storage Networks, funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, or IMLS, last September. TDL, including several of our members, partnered with our Chronopolis colleagues at the University of California, San Diego Library to roadmap the first nationally distributed digital preservation service for sensitive data. Together, we have convened project partners from more than a dozen institutions to discuss the need for private and sensitive data preservation services, as well as the legal and technological challenges and solutions. We know that institutions holding student records, email, health data, and human rights archives, for instance, need a solution. You'll be hearing more about this work as we finalize our report this fall, and we'll make next steps clear in the coming year as well in terms of what we're going to do with this new information. Creating a foundation for digital preservation is challenging for institutions of every size and type. And the best way to make progress is to leverage shared systems, staff, and resources to make it affordable and feasible. With that end in mind, and noting that over 50% of our members responded in our survey that they wanted it, TDL has negotiated with Artifactual Systems, the lead developers of Archivematica, to offer our digital preservation service members a significant discount on a hosted, supported Archivematica instance with training and other benefits. For those of you unaware, Archivematica is a digital preservation workflow management system that bundles dozens of activities required for digital preservation good practice into a single processing pathway. At the end of the Archivematica process, TDL members will have created a sound digital preservation package to preserve their valuable and unique digital content using one or more of the TDL digital preservation storage options. And those infrastructures, again, are that Chronopolis distributed digital preservation system, for which we are a node, Amazon S3, and Glacier, or any combination of those options depending on the needs of the content. Baylor University will be the first TDL member to pilot the service as we work out the details and setup, and TDL expects to have the service described, including details about pricing, by the winter or early spring. Additionally, through our efforts over the past year in response to member calls for more web archiving support, we have gathered enough interested TDL partners to offer a 10% discount off of Archive It. Archive It is a subscription service that allows institutions to build and preserve collections of born digital content. Through the user-friendly web application, Archive It partners can harvest, catalog, manage, and browse their collections. We thank our new Web Archiving Texas interest group, or WATSIG, which formed as a result of our first ever Web Archiving Texas event at Baylor late last year, for helping us achieve this discount for our membership. I'll shift gears a bit now to talk with you about Vireo, the open source electronic theses and dissertation management system for which TDL is the development home. ETDs are essential to the visibility and reputation of your institution's scholarship. So we are thrilled that we are able to begin migrating our 14 TDL ETD service users to the exciting new version of Vireo, Vireo 4, this summer. Vireo 4 could not have happened without the support of Texas State University, Baylor University, Texas Tech University, and the excellent development team at Texas A&M. It includes configurable hierarchical workflows and filters, controlled vocabularies, and other changes that we think you'll appreciate. TDL is the hub of Vireo's open source community, which is co-managed by the Vireo Steering Committee. In addition to this much anticipated release, this year the steering committee added 2 new Vireo steering committee members from UT Southwestern Medical. They also completed all new Vireo 4 user documentation, and they're nearly finished developing new training materials as well. This summer, we actually held our first and extremely well-attended virtual Vireo user group meeting for the entire open source community. And we also held a TDL user training on the new features very recently. Both of these are available on TDL's open YouTube channel and in the TDL DSpace repository. We really look forward to making more progress on upgrades and migrations and seeing how our members deploy the new features in their local workflows, and also finding out what they want to see next. So at TDL, we also know how important enhanced visibility for your institution's cultural heritage collections is for your reputation and standing. Overwhelmingly, the 2 most requested services in our survey were a discovery portal for aggregated archival and/or cultural heritage materials from Texas institutions and hosted digital exhibit software. Fortunately, the Digital Public Library of America, or DPLA, pilot at TDL has been ready to launch since our pilot DPLA Metadata Working Group completed their metadata application guidelines, and we were able to successfully get our metadata aggregation reviewed by the DPLA. After negotiating node configuration and excuse me, DPL partner terms with the University of North Texas, TDL published our provisional service documentation last year, and we're very happy to announce our first affiliate DPLA member, Houston Public Library. We can't wait for other TDL members to join them and leverage DPLA to bring in new visitors to these Texas collections. We are also adjusting our DPLA Text Hub portal to replace Blacklight with Spotlight, which is an exhibit system created by Stanford that is growing in popularity. As of this summer, we are experimenting with Spotlight for digital exhibits beyond the DPLA Text Hub as well, so that we can answer your call for a hosted digital exhibit platform. You'll hear more about all of this work as we make progress in the coming year. So thank you so much. And now back to Sean Buckner to announce 3 more fantastic award winners. Back to you, Sean.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Once again, I'd like to invite our award winners to turn on their cameras if they wish to, and wave at everyone. And if you would like, also you can keep your cameras on throughout the session. And any who would like to send congratulatory remarks again, or thank yous, please feel free to use the chat. So each year, TDL honors trailblazers in our community by giving an award to an individual or group who has used limited resources in innovative ways to create, maintain, or support digital collections. I'm pleased to announce this year's Trailblazer Award goes to the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum. The San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum was started in 2016 after a day-long conversation about the need for African American community-based archives in the city of San Antonio among local cultural heritage practitioners. It was then and there that the group, situated in a city full of world-class museums and universities, decided that they could and would protect and tell their story better than anyone else, and they would become a destination for everyone or anyone wanting to understand the story of African Americans in San Antonio. In 4 short years, SACAM has been engaged in San Antonio's African American community through a series of oral history collecting and history harvest events. They're building their own workforce as they train volunteers to conduct these events, and they draw on unique strengths of community members through a broad slate of committees managed by the SACAM Board of Directors. They are engaging general audiences with their participation in citywide events like Dia de los Muertos, Fiesta, and Juneteenth programs, and membership with San Antonio's Tourism Bureau, including revisions to the script of the wildly popular Go Rio river tours in downtown San Antonio. They are engaging the next generation of K-12 students and college-level scholars. Their work on K-12 African American Studies curriculum development was slated to be approved earlier this year in April and implemented throughout the state of Texas in the fall semester. They've partnered with faculty and students at Texas A&M in San Antonio to produce original research and digital projects on Black placemaking, the legacy of the Sutton family, and the Black ranching families that made contributions to the city's economy and culture. And they've made inroads with historic preservation groups in San Antonio with their research and advocacy around historically African American burial sites and the Woolworths building in the Alamo Plaza. The SACAM organization is trailblazing because they are successfully pulling together the threads of San Antonio's African American community to imagine a new future. They are standing in the face of gentrification and erasure and using the voices of their ancestors to present an alternative. They're a model for community archives, and it is my honor to announce them the winners of the 2020 TDL Trailblazer Award. I want to thank Shatra Powell, who is the African American Collections and Outreach Archivist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for nominating this inspiring group. And thank you all. Next slide, thank you. The Individual Impact Award goes to a person who has made significant contributions and improvements to the field and demonstrated through leadership in digital initiatives or the development of students and early career professionals. This year's Individual Impact winner is Ann Washington, Coordinator of Metadata Services at the University of Houston Libraries. As the Metadata Services Coordinator at the University of Houston Libraries, Ann has demonstrated outstanding leadership via active services and library organizations at the national and regional levels by serving as co-chair of elect's LIDA Links Library Data Interest Group, the vice chair and chair-elect of the elect's Metadata Interest Group, programming co-chair for the elect's Metadata Interest Group, and as well as being a committee member, organizer of the Linked Open Data in Libraries, Archives, and Museums, LODLAM Summit, a DLF Forum program committee member and in TDL's DPLA metadata working group. So Anne's leadership in facilitating community has been demonstrated in her service and activities in the South Central States Fedora Users Group and the Bridge to Haiku project team. And at the UH Libraries, Anne has made vital contributions to the Bayou City Dams implementation project, helping the team to establish the library's next generation of digital systems infrastructure. Over the last 4 years, Anne has offered over 20 presentations, workshops, and webinars at national and international level conferences and meetings. And additionally, Anne continues to grow her record of scholarly work, authoring and contributing to numerous peer-reviewed articles published in journals such as Lex Library Resources and Technical Services, Journal of the Library Metadata, and Code for Lib. Her co-authored monograph, Linked Data for the Perplexed Librarian, was published in March this year. I hope you all will join me in congratulating Anne Washington on winning this year's Individual Impact Award, and many thanks to her nominator, Annie Wu, Head of Metadata and Digitization Services at the University of Houston. Congratulations, Anne. Next slide. The TDL Excellence Award is given to a specific project that demonstrates overall excellence in one or more areas of digital curation and digital scholarship practice. This year's Excellence Award goes to Jamie Parker and Morgan Uringer at the University of North Texas LGBTQ Archive. Jamie Parker and Morgan Uringer are archivists with the LGBTQ Archive at the University of North Texas. The Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Archive at UNT is a repository for records documenting the history and culture of the LGBTQ communities in the South and the Southwest. This major collecting initiative documents people, places, and events through primary source materials, including letters, photographs, newspapers and magazines, scrapbooks, diaries, audiovisual materials, organizational records, poster flyers, and other objects. The LGBTQ Archive is one of the most requested resources in special collections and has been used by students, scholars, filmmakers, and journalists across the country. As part of a community-built archive, artifacts within the LGBTQ collections have a particularly personal significance. Artifacts also have potent emotional significance as symbols of activism and public displays of identity. The need to create digital representations of these unique and important materials cannot be overlooked. New workflows for the capture and description of this digital content have been created. The archive contains some collections made up entirely of t-shirts or buttons, while most collections contain a mix of wearable or displayable artifacts mixed in with more typical archival documents and photographs. So Morgan and Jamie and their work with the LGBTQ Archive demonstrate excellence on so many levels. I want to thank Robert Emery, a community advocate with the Dallas Way and the 2019 TDL Outreach Award winner, for nominating this team. Congratulations, Morgan and Jamie. Next slide, here we are. I would like to thank this year's TDL Awards Committee, displayed on the slide before you. Thank you to each member for your time, your consideration, and your committee contributions. Special thanks goes out to Lauren Goodley, this year's Vice Chair, who will be chairing next year's Awards Committee. And speaking for the group, I will say that we are all proud of and grateful to all of this year's award nominations and nominators. Thank you so much. And now I will hand things back to Christy for the continuation of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And thank you. I want to echo your thanks to our wonderful TDL Awards Committee for your efforts to recognize this absolutely outstanding work in our community. It's inspiring to see it happening, and it's inspiring to have these projects and these people elevated and recognized within our community. So we really appreciate all of our nominators, and we are so grateful to all of our recipients for the work that you're doing and congratulate you on very deserved recognition. So we're now going to move into our final section on the state of the TDL and wrap up with one final award coming from the Texas Digital Library. And we'll start with discussing our work building communities. And so we'll have our third and final poll question here, so get ready. And Leah's going to put it up on the screen. We want you to pick your favorite acronym, your favorite TDL related acronym and pronunciation. Extra credit if you type what the acronym stands for in chat. So we've got lots of acronyms here. We've got SCUSFUG, WOTSIG, DIPSUG, TXIDA, VUG, DUG, and our latest acronym, the GIZIG. We'll leave this up for another 15 seconds or so. I can't wait to see what wins. Okay, end polling and share the results. I have to say, not surprisingly, my personal favorite won the poll. That is the SCUSFUG, which is the South Central States Fedora User Group. TDL does not coordinate the SCUSFUG, but we do provide support and participate in the SCUSFUG. So and it's definitely a good acronym. TXIDA, also the Texas ETD Association, is an affiliated group, but not one of our groups, and that's a good one as well. I think WOTSIG, the Web Archiving Texas interest group, is going to rise in popularity as an acronym, though. Okay, I'm going to close this out, and we will wrap up with some remarks about our communities. I hope that you've gotten a sense throughout this presentation today that community is really at the heart of everything we do with TDL. We exist because of this community of institutional members that has pooled its resources in us, and because of the people at those institutions who work with us as partners. One of the greatest components of the TDL value proposition, in my view, is that with TDL, your library or your librarian is not going it alone. So no institution or single person within that institution bears the burden of having to know everything. And instead, by pooling our resources and expertise around these technologies, libraries can expand their networks and their capacity to thrive and succeed. So our job at TDL is to coordinate and enable those communities to exist and thrive across distance and institutional difference. And we've worked hard over the past year to build up community infrastructure for that purpose. We've done that through our Marcoms team devoting time to cultivating relationships with members, through opening up some member groups to non-TDL members. We've developed collaboration services documentation to define expectations for TDL's role in developing these projects. And the TDL Awards and the nominations and winners that you've just heard about continue to expand our reach into the wider Texas-based GLAM community. This year, we saw 5 nominees and 3 winners from outside the Academy, which is pretty exciting to me. We are, of course, existing and working in a time where community and human connection is both harder to come by and more important than ever. And the distributed community infrastructure that we've built up and our existing relationships and trust with our members has allowed us to play a part in hopefully creating and continuing those human connections during the pandemic. Shortly after work from home became the norm in March, we began holding weekly Zoom hangouts for our members with no agenda except that pets and children have to make an appearance whenever possible. And these have quickly become favorite events for our TDL staff for sure. It's been a low stakes opportunity to share what's happening across institutions and connect with other folks going through the same stuff. And it spawned a community Slack space where members have continued these conversations, whether they're frivolous and fun or serious and sometimes work related. In addition to these opportunities for connection, we've created and maintained a curated COVID resources page and hosted a number of rapid response webinars on reopening the library, working at home as an archivist, and supporting online teaching and learning. Even with the challenges we're dealing with right now, though, our communities continue to thrive and to find ways to lead. Our Texas Data Repository Steering Committee is a shining example of a high-functioning community working within the larger Dataverse and research data communities worldwide. This group is made up of research data liaisons at each institution that participates in TDR, and it provides service planning support and policy oversight for our repository, but they also do so much more to support each other and to give back to the open source Dataverse community of which our repository is a part. The steering committee created a video on this slide for the Dataverse community annual meeting earlier this summer, which had to go virtual because of the pandemic. And we thought it'd be fun to share it with you all here. It's just about 90 seconds, and it gives a great overview of the crazy amount of work that the committee is doing together to enhance access and curation of research data deposited by Texas researchers in TDR. So I'm gonna hit play here and let you take a listen to Christina Chan Park, Reed Beam, and Diana Morganti.
Greetings from the Steering Committee for the Texas Data Repository. The institutions that are part of the TDR include Baylor University, Texas A&M International University, Texas A&M University, Texas A&M University Galveston, Texas State University, Texas Tech University, Texas Women's University, University of Houston, University of Texas at Arlington, and University of Texas at Austin.
Some of the things we've worked on this year include designing a new TDR logo, creating assessment and training and outreach standing committees, establishing a project management system and file naming convention for our work, cleaning up our public documentation, hosting 5 speakers for our webinar series, and developing onboarding materials for new steering committee members.
We are continuing to work on finalizing on a preservation protocol for Chronopolis, obtaining core trust seal status, incorporating larger data sets into TDR, piloting a Carpentries membership, and integrating R into TDR.
And we plan to start working on implementing Google Analytics, archiving code and software, especially for the digital humanities, developing data curation workflows, targeting outreach to registered users and potential campus partners, and providing discipline-specific guidance. We miss you down in Texas.
Awesome. So we really appreciate the TDR Steering Committee putting together that video and highlighting all of the work that they're doing together to support each other in supporting research data and research data management. I want to highlight one project mentioned briefly in the video, which is the Data Carpentries membership. This steering committee is leading the consortium in a 1-year pilot membership in Data Carpentries as a means to increase literacy among TDL library staff in fundamental data skills needed to conduct research and to prepare them as workshop leaders in these skills that can be deployed across the consortium. This project directly addresses 2 of the top requests for future training offerings, data wrangling and research data management, from our member survey. The project for Data Carpentries is being led from start to finish by the steering committee. It was brought to us as an idea by Jessica Trologan at UT Austin. The steering committee conducted a survey of members to determine need and made a proposal to TDL staff and our board to secure the necessary funds for it. This community-led initiative with members across institutions undertaken for the benefit of all is exactly the kind of thing that makes TDL as an organization thrive, and it allows each individual institution and librarian to be successful as well. Over the past year, we've deployed our community infrastructure to launch several new member groups to address issues of importance to our communities. These include, there's a long list of them, the TDL OER Ambassadors Group, which is coordinated by Leah DeForest as part of our Open Textbook Network Consortium membership. These ambassadors were selected from a pool of very worthy applicants to develop a community of practice around OERs and become a source of expertise for the consortium. We launched the OJS user group, chaired by A&M Corpus Christi's Alexa Height, for TDL members who subscribe to the journal hosting service. And this group is helping us develop a new journal toolkit to address some of the gaps in service quality that we've uncovered in our assessments this year. The Digital Preservation Interest Group, or DIPSIG, has opened up partnership or participation in the group to all TDL members and non-members alike, not just DPS subscribers. And through the leadership of Marcia McIntosh and Shannon Willis from UNT, we launched a TDL imaging group open to anyone working in digitization or digital imaging in GLAM organizations. Courtney's already mentioned the Web Archiving Texas Interest Group, which launched with a successful event at Baylor and spurred the creation of our Archive It consortium. And finally, Michael Shensky from UT Austin spearheaded the development of a GIS interest group, GIZIG, launched this summer after a successful online Birds of a Feather meeting, and they're gearing up to host a webinar series this fall. We are so proud of this work that you all are doing to support research, teaching, and learning through Texas Digital Library. And we're honored when folks come to us with an idea for community work that we can help enable. The good work that these groups put out into the profession and into the world is because of your efforts, and we're just excited to be a part of it. So thank you. And speaking of your good efforts, I'm now going to hand it over to Courtney one final time for our final award announcement of the day, which is appropriately the TDL Service Award. So Courtney, it's all yours.
Thank you, Christy. I put a little sparkle on for this one. I have the distinct honor today of announcing the TDL Service Award, which is selected at the discretion of the Texas Digital Library, and which is given to an individual or a group at a member institution for their exceptional work in the service of the Texas Digital Library Consortium. This year, we are pleased to recognize Chris Starcher from Texas Tech University. For the past few years, I've had the privilege to work alongside Chris in the Vireo open source community as a contributing developer and an active member of the Vireo user group's steering committee. Chris, TDL recognizes you with this award for your significant contributions over several years to the Vireo steering committee and open source community at large. TDL and the Vireo community have benefited so much, not only from your code contributions and your participation in development, but also your calm, steady, and consistent leadership on the VUG steering committee. You're a wonderful colleague, and you always act with community in mind. Your recent enlistment of a colleague to get involved in Vireo for bug fixing is further evidence of that. And we know you'll serve as product owner, a role you recently stepped into on behalf of the steering committee with gusto. We really could not have reached a Vireo 4 release without you, and we are enriched as a consortium by your enthusiasm for collective progress and open source infrastructure. Congratulations, Chris, for your service to TDL. We appreciate you.
Ditto all of that. We really have continued to love working with Chris and have appreciated his efforts in bringing Vireo 4 to fruition. Hi, Chris, and congratulations.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. Let's take one more minute, one more moment here to recognize and celebrate all of our award recipients for 2020. If you are an award recipient and you're on the line, please unmute or make your video work so we can see you. And if anybody out there wants to unmute themselves and give a round of applause, I think that this group definitely deserves a little celebration. Fantastic. Yay. Awesome. Such a fantastic group of people and projects. thank you again to Sean and to the TDL Awards Committee for your efforts in finding and selecting these worthy folks. This is always fun. I'm sorry that we don't get to do this in person and celebrate you in person, but we are glad that we have the opportunity to celebrate you here today, and we'll look for other ways to be with you and connect with you as we go forward. All right. Once again, we are grateful to our members listed here who put your trust in TDL to provide essential infrastructure and services, providing online secure access to your digital collections and materials. We invite any institution interested in becoming part of the TDL and this community to reach out to us. We need your energy and expertise to continue growing the digital libraries community in this region. And we hope you'll stay engaged with us. Finally, as we wrap up, I want to again thank our speakers and chairs, Marcia McIntosh and Sean Buckner, for their participation in coordinating this event and their excellent leadership of the conference and awards committees this year. And I especially want to thank Leah DeForest, our communications manager, for her always excellent management of this event and some beautiful design work on these slides. And to Courtney Muma, who is just a fantastic partner in leading this organization. We do have a few minutes for questions. If there are any questions out there, I will pause for a moment and I'll ask Leah to kind of keep an eye on chat to see if there are any questions. You can also unmute yourself and ask a question if you'd like to. All right, I'm going to take silence as happiness. This was a lot of content. We did a lot of celebrating of excellent work, and we hope that you'll reach out to us if you do have questions after the event concludes. So with that, we will wrap it up and conclude our TDL Awards ceremony and State of TDL webinar with one more hearty thank you to all of you for attending and for your work to move digital libraries forward in partnership with us here at TDL. Take care, everybody, and we will see you soon.